Eleanor, 35, and for the last 10 years, I've worked in the most unglamorous part of the real estate market, commercial distressed asset recovery. I specialize in taking over properties when major corporations go bankrupt. It's tedious, unsexy, and it made me fiercely knowledgeable about hidden deals and financial leverage. Meanwhile, my younger brother, Victor, 30, was basking in the glow of superficial success. Victor became a high-rolling stockbroker, leased a stunning multi-million-dollar mansion on the coast, drove a leased sports car, and married a woman whose entire identity was tied to their perceived wealth. His life was a billboard for instant, borrowed affluence. And my life? My life was a small, quiet, debt-free, but undeniably tiny apartment in a slightly run-down downtown area. It was my sanctuary, paid for with cash, but Victor treated it like a sign of my fundamental failure. The humiliation peaked last Christmas at my parents' house. Victor, after bragging about his new infinity pool heater, cornered me. "Eleanor, look at you," he sighed dramatically, gesturing at my sensible sweater. "You're still living in that closet downtown. I mean, do you even see sunlight? You're 35. You work in real estate. How can you stand telling people you live in 700 square feet? My guest bathroom is bigger than your entire apartment. And I'm serious about that." He laughed, a loud, booming, entitled sound. My mother hushed him, but Victor didn't stop. "I feel genuinely bad for you, Elle. You work so hard doing whatever it is you do with those messy bankruptcies, and what do you have to show for it? A glorified storage unit. You should focus on making money, not counting other people's losses." He had spent his life accumulating debt-fueled symbols of wealth, while I spent mine eliminating liabilities and understanding the true cost of those symbols. His mockery, calling my secure home a closet and glorified storage, was the final, unforgivable insult. I decided then that I wouldn't just defend my stability, I would ensure he lost his borrowed house of cards. My career focus changed overnight. I had been ignoring the local residential market, but I started tracking Victor's mortgage lender. I knew Victor was leveraged to the hilt, using the equity from his primary residence to collateralize his high-risk trading portfolio. It was a ticking bomb timer. I discovered that his lender, a regional investment bank, had bundled his mortgage with hundreds of other unstable, high-value loans. This bundle had been flagged by my firm and was about to be sold off to a specialized debt buyer. A buyer, my firm, Artemis Acquisitions, the same one from the previous story but focused on real estate debt, was quietly consulting for me. I spent the next 3 months working a grueling double shift, my primary job in asset recovery and my side work for Artemis, focusing solely on the vulnerabilities in that specific mortgage bundle. My expertise gave Artemis the advantage. The bank, desperate to offload the risk, sold the debt package at a massive discount. Artemis didn't buy the houses, they bought the liabilities, the legal right to foreclose, restructure, or sell the debt. And I, leveraging my insider knowledge and my equity position in Artemis, made a single crucial stipulation to the deal's closing agreement. I personally obtained the first right of refusal on the lien for Victor's specific property. I paid a substantial, non-refundable deposit to secure that right. I wasn't just working, I was strategically placing a financial noose around my brother's neck. The market correction hit 6 months later. Victor, relying on a disastrous leverage bet, was completely wiped out. The margin calls hit, and his bank moved instantly to seize his remaining collateral, which included the equity in his mansion. His wife, seeing the imminent loss of status, filed for divorce and vacated the premises instantly, taking the leased car and all the expensive accessories. Victor was left alone in the mansion, stripped of his perceived wealth, utterly panicked. His mortgage lender, now the aggressive debt buyer, moved instantly. They served him with the notice of default and accelerated foreclosure, the papers that gave him 30 days to come up with the entire outstanding principal, a sum he obviously did not have. The phone calls began. He didn't ask for money. He asked for help, a desperate plea from the man who thought he knew everything. Elle, you work in this stuff. Distressed assets, right? Who bought my debt? Can you talk to them? I just need 2 more weeks. I'm going to lose the house, Elle. My mansion. Victor, when you enter a high-risk portfolio, you understand the consequences. This is what counting other people's losses looks like. Why should they give you 2 weeks? Because I'm family! I'll pay you back! You're the stable one, you can do this! Just find out who the new owner is, please! I'll lose everything! I played the role of the humble sister, powerless against the forces of finance. I'm sorry, Vic, that kind of information is confidential. The people who bought this debt, they are absolutely ruthless. They don't care about people. They care about closing the asset. He pleaded, he cried, he finally tried to apologize for the years of mockery. But it was too late. I let him suffer for 2 agonizing weeks. On the morning of the eviction, Victor was sitting on the steps of his mansion, surrounded by his few remaining boxes, watching the official foreclosure notice being nailed to the front door. The sheriff's deputies were there. His shame was absolute and utterly public. I drove up, not in my usual sensible sedan, but in a large, clean, unmarked black SUV. I stepped out, dressed in a sharp suit, carrying a large briefcase. Victor's eyes widened, recognizing the professional attire of the people who were now running his life. "Eleanor, what are you doing here?" he asked, terrified. He thought I was there to gloat, or perhaps just watch the final scene. I walked past him and spoke directly to the head deputy. "Officer, I need to confirm the eviction. I'm the official representative for the lien holder, Artemis Acquisitions. I need to take possession of the asset today." Victor stumbled toward me. "Artemis? They sent you? You're just a low-level analyst. You have no authority here." I looked him in the eye and opened my briefcase, pulling out a single binding document, the deed in lieu of foreclosure signed by the debt buyer. "Actually, Victor," I said, my voice steady and cold, "I have full authority. I wasn't a low-level analyst counting losses. I was the financial engineer who wrote the model that identified your loan as the weak link in the bundle. I used my savings and my professional influence to secure the first right of refusal on your lien. And then, 2 hours ago, I executed that right. I didn't buy the debt, Victor. I bought the house." The deputy paused, looking at the documents. "The property is officially transferred to Ms. E as of 9:30 a.m. Victor stared at the document, then at me, then at the sprawling, empty mansion that was now mine. You bought my house?" he whispered, his entire world collapsing. I leaned in, meeting his gaze. "That's right, Victor. I bought the 7,000 square feet of glorified space that you ridiculed my 700 square feet for. Your mockery was my motivation, and your recklessness was my down payment." He collapsed onto a box, defeated. "What are you going to do with it? Sell it?" "Sell it? No," I replied, snapping the briefcase shut. "I'm going to turn it into an asset management office. It's a great location for my new headquarters. It's just a large, expensive piece of commercial distressed asset recovery now." I looked at the deputy. "Officer, My brother is now trespassing on private property. He needs to move his belongings. The officer firmly directed Victor to move his boxes. He was evicted from his mansion by the silent, steady sister he had ridiculed for living in a closet. As the last moving truck pulled away, Victor, broken and homeless, walked slowly down the empty driveway. He stopped near my SUV. "Where am I supposed to go, Eleanor? I have nothing." I looked out at the ocean, then back at him. "You mocked me for living in a storage unit, Victor, but my storage unit is secure. Mine is debt-free. You have no right to it, but since you are now family in need," I reached into my pocket and handed him a single key. It wasn't the key to the mansion. It was the key to my downtown apartment, the small, secure, debt-free closet I owned. The lease on my apartment expired last week. It's vacant, but it's safe. You can stay there for 1 month. I own it outright. Just remember, Victor, every square foot in that apartment was earned through hard work and financial stability, the things you mocked. Use the time wisely. Don't touch the mini fridge. That's mine. I had not only taken his status, but I had forced him to accept refuge in the very symbol of success he had scorned. He had to exchange his vast, fragile affluence for my small, unshakable security. He had lost his mansion and was reduced to begging for a key to the apartment he called a closet. The silence that followed was the sweetest victory I had ever known.